about the American people deserve answers. The previous speaker, a gentleman from New York, talked about we need to have hearings. Let me say this. I'm for hearings if we actually bring in the right people. We learned 2 weeks ago that James Comey misled the American people at the direction of the Attorney General. The Justice Department misleading Americans. That should not happen. And should the Judiciary Committee look into that? Of course we should. Loretta Lynch told James Comey to portray the matter as, to portray the investigation as a matter when in fact it was an investigation. He did it willfully, he did it intentionally, he did it at the direction of the Attorney General. That should not happen in the United States. This year, Mr. Comey furthered the perception that President Trump was under investigation when in fact he wasn't, and had been told 3 times by Mr. Comey he wasn't under investigation, but he allows that perception to exist. So if we're going to have these hearings that the other side wants, we got to have the right people in here answering those kind of questions, why they did that. Then Mr. Comey orchestrates a leak through a friend to the New York Times with his stated goal of creating momentum for a special counsel. And not just any special counsel, but his good friend, his mentor, Bob Mueller, right? So if we're going to have hearings, let's talk about those things. Should the former FBI director be giving agency information, agency memos to the New York Times? I don't think so. This committee called for, a few years ago, Mr. Chairman, this committee called for a special counsel in the IRS investigation. The Justice Department said no. Justice Department said, no, we can't do that. Even though the lead agent on the case was a max-out contributor to the president's campaign, they said no. No, we can't do that. Even though people's fundamental liberties, First Amendment liberties, were attacked by the agency with the power that the Internal Revenue Service has, they said no. Several people last year called for a special counsel in the Clinton email investigations. The Justice Department said no. But when it involves someone in the Justice Department, when it involves James Comey's reputation, oh, we got to have a special counsel. So if we're going to have hearings like the other side suggests, let's ask the right questions. Let's get Mr. Comey in here and ask him some questions that the American people deserve answers to, like my colleague from Florida mentioned earlier.